Good evening, my lovelies. Welcome. I'm Lady Creepypasta. A quick announcement before we begin today's tale. If you're looking for alternative ways to support this podcast and channel, my Etsy store has been updated with new dead dollies looking for new homes to haunt. Each dolly comes with a death certificate stating her name, date of death, and method of passing, signed and sealed by yours truly. If you're keen on having a peek, go to etsy.com/shop/Lady Creepypasta. A direct link is in the episode description below. More curios will be added to the store as well. Now, on with today's tale. This one comes from friend and author Tobias Wade from his book 51 Sleepless Nights. Do be warned though, my dears, this story does depict child torture as well as animal torture. So, if those things make you squeamish, perhaps look at my realm and listen to another tale. For the rest of you though, it's time. So come. Lean in closer, and we'll begin. There's a psychopath in my house. No, he didn't break in. He sleeps in the same room as me. It's not my brother's fault. This is just who he is. If it's anyone's fault, it's my parents. My mom left when I was 6 and my little brother was 4. She never wanted us, or at least that's what my dad said, because I don't remember her very well. Dad said she used to be a perfect student with big dreams. Then she got knocked up and had to drop out of college to take care of us. He reminds us all the time that it was our fault she left, and how happy he was before we were born. That's the nice version of what he said anyway. Lots of stuff about her being an ungrateful slut who will burn in hell, but I don't think of her that way. If I was married to someone like my dad, I would have run away too. My dad needed medicine to cope with her leaving. Every time he took it, he would be gone for days. It would be just me and my little brother in the house, and I took care of him the best I could. My dad wouldn't usually leave us any money, but I got pretty good at hiding things under my dress at the grocery store. I thought things would change when I was 12 and found a paper bag with $1,000 in our backyard. I thought Mom had sent it, that she'd heard about how hard things were and mailed us some money. I could usually find food when I needed it badly enough, so I didn't want to waste it on things like that. It was my brother's 10th birthday coming up, and that seemed like a big deal. I hired a van and brought him and 7 kids from his class to spend the whole day at SeaWorld. It was so much fun, I thought about never going back. My brother didn't want to run away though, and I couldn't leave him. Besides, the van driver was keeping an eye on us and said he had to bring us home or he might get fired. We should have run away though. The money hadn't come from my mom. She'd forgotten about us. That's when I found out my dad's medicine was meth, and that he'd been selling some to his friends when he'd dropped the money by mistake. I tried to tell him that it was my fault, but since it got spent on my brother's birthday, he got the worst of it. My brother didn't walk again for 2 years after that. He needed even more help now that he was in a wheelchair. There were more bills that weren't being paid, the electricity, the gas, even the rent sometimes. I had to be out a lot, trying to find money, sometimes for days at a time when I was staking out a house to steal from. I couldn't leave my brother alone too long though. My dad would just ignore him if I didn't check in at least twice a day. Then I'd find my brother sitting in his own piss and shit. I think he could have made it to the toilet by himself if he really tried, but he just gave up caring about everything. There is one thing my brother started doing to pass the time though, although this I wish he hadn't. I noticed his growing collection of small animal skulls for a while, but I assumed they were just plastic until I saw how he was catching them. I watched him put birdseed in a 2-liter soda bottle with the opening cut wider. Once a squirrel crawled in, he would pull a string which slid the bottle down to cover the opening with a piece of cardboard. It would struggle frantically to get out, but when it was near the opening, its own weight would hold the bottle into place against the board. I would have congratulated him on his contraption, except for what happened next. He picked up the bottle, cardboard still covering the opening, and slipped a couple razor blades inside. Then he shook the whole thing until it looked like the inside of a blender, the squirrel screaming the whole time. I took it away from him, but he just kept building little things like that. It wasn't just squirrels either. Mice, small birds, even a raccoon once. After he'd killed them, he'd bite the head straight off, then spit it into a bowl of water to clean the organic matter off the skull. "Please stop. God didn't make those animals just so you could torture them," I said to him. "Then why did he make it so much fun?" It's not just animals anymore. I found a big cardboard box out on the sidewalk near the bus stop. Inside was a bag of M&Ms, a couple comic books, and his old Game Boy Color. There was a rope tied to little hooks inside the box which led towards my house. If someone were to pull that rope, the box would close and the whole thing would be dragged down the sidewalk. I don't think he'd be strong enough to pull anyone bigger than a 6-year-old, but the school bus stopped here. I ripped the box into pieces and ran to confront him. I found him sitting on his bed. He was out of the wheelchair now, waiting with a knife in his hands. "What the hell are you trying to do?" "Set a trap." "It's not going to work," I said. "Don't worry, it'll work." "I destroyed it. Why are you trying to trap some kid?" "I'm not. I'm trying to trap you." That's when I noticed that the TV was suspended with ropes above me. He cut the cord and it landed right on top of my head. He must have counted on that knocking me out because he was already coming at me with the knife. I was dizzy, but I managed to scramble out of the way and slammed the door in his face. After that, I was too scared to go back inside the house. I called Child Protective Services and reported the meth deals my dad was doing in the home. I didn't mention what my brother has been doing because I thought once he was out of here, he'd have a chance at a fresh start. I didn't want his life to be over before it had even begun. We were both put into separate foster homes, and it's been 2 years since I've heard anything from him. That was until last night. My adoptive parents, a wonderful Asian couple who couldn't have kids of their own, sat down with me at the kitchen table. They told me they had some good news. They were going to adopt my brother as well. I guess the family that took him in suffered an unfortunate accident. They didn't tell me what happened, but by the look they gave each other, it must have been gruesome. I hope he's changed. telling people what he did will stop him from being adopted and ruin his life forever. I can't say anything until I've seen him again. If he hasn't, though. Well, that's why I'm writing this. If he hasn't changed, then at least someone will know what happened and have a shot at stopping it from happening again. If you enjoyed that tale and would like to support the author, pick up a copy of his book. A direct purchase link is in the episode description below. Well, that's all I have for you here this evening, my dears. Although a new story is up on Patreon for my dark family. If you'd like to find out how you can join us, go to patreon.com/LadyMcCreepster. Till next time, my dears, sweet dreams.